Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard, the podcast that takes you inside the huddle, beyond the plays, and into the minds of coaches. I'm Perry Black, and each episode will bring you exclusive interviews with coaches from all levels, sharing their stories, strategies, and lessons they've learned along the way. So pull up a seat, let's get beyond the numbers, beyond the highlights, beyond the scoreboard. Good evening, fans, and welcome to the very first podcast of Behind the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Perry Black, and I'm joined with two good friends of mine and really good sports people around the Northwest, Zane Hobart and Ken Hobart. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Perry? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining me. I'm extremely excited to kind of get into this and figure out your journey, both athletically and then coaching as well. So I think we'll kind of start there. Just Zane, why don't you start us off? Give us kind of your athletic background before coaching and then kind of what led you into coaching from there.
So from Lewiston, Idaho. I was a three-sport athlete in high school there. I went on to play college baseball at Walla Walla Community College and then into LCSC for a couple of years. College sports-wise, baseball is kind of my thing, but was a three-sport athlete in high school.
Awesome.
I was a four-sport guy growing up in Camion. We didn't have a lot going on in Camion. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so I had a bat and a ball and a glove and fishing pole and a gun. So that's what we did. There weren't computers and the internet and Facebook and all these distractions that kids have today. Sports was kind of always my thing.
Sure. And Ken, you want to get into a little bit about college career a little bit? I know you started at LC, is that right?
Yeah, you know how it is, Perry. You're from a small town, and I was a really good athlete, but I was just really small. And I didn't touch a razor until I was about 21. I think a late bloomer. Of course, I wasn't good enough to go play anywhere at any big school. I had lots of offers from junior colleges and from some smaller four-year schools, but ended up baseball was my best sport, and I ended up going to LCSC. And kind of funny, Ed Sheff and I didn't see eye to eye. So after the semester, I just thought, I'm going to transfer to Idaho and play baseball and shove it up Ed's, you know what. But anyway, I transferred to Idaho, and the week after I transferred schools in January of 1980, they dropped the baseball program. And so I thought, wow, what do I do now? And I had gone to an Idaho football game in the fall. My roommate was Tom Edens, and Tom was from a small school in Fruitland, and Tom ended up playing in the major leagues for quite a few years as a pitcher. But he and I had gone to a few Vandal games, and I thought, their quarterbacks weren't very good around the option. I think I can play football there. So I went in and basically asked for a tryout and begged my way on, and I walked on and ended up being the starter for all 4 years I was there. Just right place, right time.
All right, yeah, awesome. So, coming from a small town, do you think that impacted your ability to play at the next level, or do you think it was mostly just a mature, my body's got to mature type deal?
Kind of a little of both. I mean, I still have that chip on my shoulder today, coaching with Zane and Kendrick. I mean, he's the man. I'm just there, doing what he tells me to do. But yeah, we still have that chip on our shoulder. We have a young student athlete that's going to play football for the Idaho Vandals. And a lot like myself, I don't think he's touched a razor yet. The kids are going to gain 25 or 30 pounds, and he's really fast. And but just because you're from a small school, they don't want to take a chance on you and giving you an opportunity. But, all you can ask for a lot of times is a chance. And our Hewitt kid that Zane's coached all of his brothers, Sawyer's the baby, but he's going up to Idaho as a preferred walk-on. And mark my word, before it's all said and done, he will earn a scholarship. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and I just following him a little bit, I can definitely see how that would come to fruition pretty soon, I would imagine. Zane, let's get into your coaching career. How did that begin for you? And what kind of made you think about trying it?
Yeah, so actually I referee basketball. We both referee basketball in District 2 here in the state of Idaho. And I was actually refereeing a basketball game in Kendrick when I was probably 22 years old. And they were looking for a baseball coach. And I just got done playing, and it worked out my job. And so I was actually the baseball coach at Kendrick for 2 years. And then after that spring, they did ask me, if I liked football or if I would be interested in coaching football. And to be honest, yeah, I enjoy football a lot more than I do baseball. I just happen to be better at playing baseball. And so after 2 years of coaching baseball, I switched to football and chose just stick with one sport at that time. So that's kind of how I got into football at Kendrick. 12 years later, here I am.
It was bad parenting on my part. Perry, Zane was a late bloomer too. It's one of those ones where, if I'd have held him back, he gained 35 pounds. He went from a young little boy to a man in about 6 months. Had maybe we held him back a year in school, I think he could have played quarterback at a school somewhere had he wanted to.
Sure. Well, and what's really interesting now with that whole having community college not count towards eligibility, I'm curious to see how that's gonna help those guys that are late.
2 years of junior college, my 2-year LDS mission, redshirt year, maybe another COVID year. I'm going to be 30 to graduate.
Yeah. I was playing a lot of college sports. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I can't even understand how that makes sense. But
I was a 4-year starter at Idaho. I missed one game. I think I started 45 out of 46 games. And I saw here a few weeks ago where Dylan Gabriel has played almost 70 games. Yeah, that's like 2 more seasons.
Right. No, and I just don't get how that's good for the game. I always thought it was supposed to be for young kids, but I guess not. I guess they're changing that.
It's all about money.
Like you said, Perry, the getting recruited out of high school to play college sports, especially football, is going to become obsolete. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be an absolute stud to get recruited by these Division I schools, and even in the Big Sky level nowadays. I mean, with the portal, those guys are in the portal like crazy. It's extremely difficult to be a high school player and to go right into one of those programs. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're dealing that at Asotin right now. We got a pretty good baseball player that's getting some D1 sniffs, and it's different. He's built the way that they want him to be built, and being left-handed helps and all that kind of stuff. But man, oh man, that we've had some good players over the years, but nothing that's even got a sniff. Kind of D1 lately. We've had one kid a couple years ago, Kobe Blunt, that played for Asotin for a while. He went to WSU, but he was about the best overall athlete I've probably coached, and it was lower level Division I talent at that time. It's amazing how good you got to be. And I think it's going to get even harder now, because if you're close, why would you go? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you go to community college and play and become 20 years old and a man before you start playing real football? I have a feeling that's going to happen, but I hope not. But
you hit the nail on the head. Like you said, you're going to see a lot more kids going the JUCO route if those years aren't going to count, and it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Actually, in some areas of the world, when I was at Idaho back in the early 80s, we used to recruit a lot from Spokane Community College, Walla Walla Community College, some Yakima Valley. Those places, they exist today, but they have baseball and basketball. Football is not even a sport. So, maybe at some of those junior colleges, maybe some of the football will get resurrected around the Northwest, but really to play junior college football anymore, you got to go to California or Kansas, or you've got to go quite a ways away from home if you live here in eastern Washington or north central Idaho.
Yeah, and I was talking about that with a buddy of mine as well. I think that Northwest community colleges are going to have to get football. Like, I think that's going to have to be a thing here soon. Because if not, you're going to lose almost all the student population. I think. If you're close, why wouldn't you take advantage of WSU and Idaho and all those schools that are around you? Why wouldn't you start trying to feed them talent? Especially when it's all about money. Enrollment's the whole purpose of college. So if you can get more people to go to your school, it seems like it makes sense.
I was thinking about that the other day when I saw the stuff on X about the junior college stuff not counting. And it's kind of sad, because a lot of schools, it seems like, don't want to take young talent and develop it. They would rather maybe the junior college route. But I think the good coaches understand and will always understand that, if you've got good talent that maybe not quite mature, if you can envision that kid with 30 or 40 pounds on him, and if you can get those kids into your program and coach them the way you want to coach them, I think you're still going to be better off than maybe sending that kid to a junior college that you don't know what that staff is like, or you don't know academically what's going to go on there. So a lot to be seen in the next year or two as to how it's all going to shake out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really interested, that's for sure, because it seems strange to have, they say school's important, but now they're saying that 2 years of it doesn't matter. So it's really, really weird. I don't quite understand that. But so we hear a ton about, the big moments in football, touchdowns, championships, state championships for Kendrick, coming a bunch here lately. Tell me something that people outside might not realize about coaching. Like, what is something that the average person is not going to know?
This is a good topic, especially football related, because I do think there might be the most amount of work behind the scenes when it comes to football that people don't know about. But I mean, springtime and summertime when you're doing weight room stuff, multiple times a week, you're going to football summer camps, you're on field time in the spring and summer. And really these football kids, we play 3.5 months actual in season, but those other 9 months, we are still playing football. They do get a pretty good break here during basketball, but, March 1st is kind of always our circled date, around that state tournament time. I start contacting kids and we start making plans for spring football and spring weight room time. And then just the amount of hours in film I think football has to go with it compared to other sports is a lot of people don't realize what people are doing when they get home from practice. Yeah. A lot of hours behind that people don't realize.
Yeah, absolutely. We always tell our kids, that Friday night's your reward. It's your reward for busting your tail Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for busting your tail all the off season, So, and I think as a coach, you're a teacher. Zane's not a teacher. He's in the insurance business. He's not in the school system, but I guarantee you he spends more time with those young student athletes in his community than the math teacher or the science or the English teacher, because they have that math class for an hour a day and maybe only 4 days a week, depending on how they do their schedules. But, he's with them 2.5 hours a day, every day during the season for 3.5 months. And then he just said that the football camps, the weight room at 6:00 in the morning on March 1st. So I think as a coach, you're a teacher, but I think I think back to the people from my high school career, and my coaches are by far, if I had a problem away from school or away from that sport, their door was always open. Their phone was always on the hook. I could go to them. And I think that's the neat thing about coaching that people don't realize that's one of the coolest features of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I've had one of my mentors tell me that if you can coach, you can teach. It's not the other way around. So it's really hard to be able to teach. Most people think if you're a teacher, you can coach. It's kind of opposite. I think if you can coach, you can teach, because there's aspects of coaching that you just don't have to do in the classroom. You just don't have to.
No, exactly. Never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Well, anybody can coach, but to be a good coach and coach effectively,
Yeah,
through to your kids. I played obviously in high school, college, and I played professionally. I can honestly say I had coaches that I played for that I didn't respect.
Right.
I didn't like the stuff we were doing. Player, you just got to try to do, yeah, you got to be able to adapt. And so coaching is one thing, but being a good coach is totally different.
Yeah. Well, obviously part of coaching is what happens, once the game's over. So records and all of that stuff matter. So Zane, talk about, your current winning streak that you had going up until this year, and then obviously got a state title again this year. But I want to understand a little bit on how you kind of handle and maybe put those expectations, try to deal with high school football and how hard it is at a small school anyway, but now with expectations heightened. How is that? Is that just as hard as probably some of the scouting and stuff you do in the everyday basis?
Yeah, absolutely. The streak, it was an incredible streak the kids went on. I think it was snapped at 31 games this year. But it was something that we did talk about, but it wasn't the way we talked about and approached it. It wasn't to continue it. It wasn't, the great features of it. It was more about holding ourselves accountable to playing the way we wanted to play. And we always thought and believed in, if we did those things, that the streak had the ability to continue for gosh knows how long. And that's just kind of something I preach to the kids. If we handle things the way we're supposed to handle them in practice and get the kids to have good grades and not have off-field distractions, and then, practice hard and do the things we're supposed to, I told them it could go on for a long time, and it did. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome way of looking at it, because at some point we all understand that the purpose of playing the game is to win, but I don't think people quite understand how hard it is to win football games. So there's so much luck almost that comes into it. Once you start playing to win 4 state titles like you have, which is awesome, and nobody's ever going to be able to take that away. At some point, there's if one guy gets hurt, that could change everything. If 2 guys get hurt, that can change everything. So the fact that you guys were able to keep that up with all the unknowns that football presents is pretty incredible.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, like you said, there's a little bit of luck involved. I mean, we always talk about the ball's got to bounce your way every once in a while. You got to have a key turnover or not commit those key turnovers or whatever the case may be. Talk a little bit about the injury thing, especially in these small schools, is huge. We play 8-man football, but even we're at a Soton, like where you guys are at, it's still 11-man, but it's a smaller scale in terms of your enrollment and the numbers and kids you have on that football team. An injury or 2 is a drastic difference for football teams at these kind of levels. It's huge. We felt that a little bit this year with multiple different injuries.
Perry, it takes a while. I mean, Zane has been out there 12 years now. I've had the pleasure of being able to help be on the staff the last 2 years. And it took a while to build a culture out there. With the young kids coming up and playing football league that Rob Hayes started. They call it their fun team out. There's the Thunder, I think now. But there's 4th, 5th, 6th grade kids playing football. And it took a long time to build that culture. The administration just jumped on board, is real supportive, which maybe early on it maybe wasn't that way.
Sure.
The parents are just incredible. I mean, they just, hey, treat my kid like you treat your own. Just if they're not, doing something right, whack them, and that's hard anymore because kids, we're all guilty as parents, and grandparents of kids are soft anymore. And Zane's just done a great job building that culture out there. And I'll tell you this story. He told me when I wasn't coaching with him, we would still talk. I'd go to every game on every Friday night. And he told me 5 years ago, he goes, you know what? He goes, I think we can build this thing. He goes, I think we can win 3 or 4 in a row. As crazy as that sounds, I mean, that conversation actually happened. And how long can he keep it going? We got some good kids coming back, so it could keep going for a while.
Yeah, I'm excited to follow that. I mean, obviously, I think people don't quite understand how hard it is to win state championships in any sport, and especially football. There's people that go 20, 30 years of coaching that are really good coaches that just don't win them, especially, as you start getting into the higher levels of athletics. But, to win 4 in a row, and obviously I think probably a 5th one is probably a goal. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. But kind of to piggyback on that a little bit, how is sharing athletes at Kendrick maybe different than sharing an athlete at Lewiston might be?
Yeah, you have to share it. That's the reality. If these kids and these boys or girls at a small school like that don't play, they have the opportunity or possibility to not have a program in that particular sport. I think every single one of our football players play basketball, and then a lot of them do at least one spring sport. They kind of pretty evenly mixed between baseball and track. So I mean, they just play them all. And I always tell the kids, basketball might not be your favorite and you're a football guy, but maybe that basketball guy, it's his favorite and he's really good at basketball. I mean, you guys need each other's help. So I've urged them to absolutely play all of them they can. And not only that, you only get 4 years to do it. It's gone in the blink of an eye, but for the most part, these small schools, they all play. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, and obviously, I think this is my 13th or 14th year at a Soton, and it goes kind of ebbs and flows. You got years where everybody plays everything, and then all of a sudden you got a couple small classes, and we have 2 really small classes at a Soton right now. It just kind of, I think COVID might have had something to do with that, but we played in the semifinal this year, and 18 dudes suited up. So you can imagine how difficult that is when the other team has 49. It's a different thing. So when people play that don't want to play for their friends, I think that speaks volumes, and it needs to be kind of repaid. And I think, you touched on it perfectly. If you're a football dude and you need that basketball player to go catch some passes or something, you definitely need to go find a way to make that up somehow. And whether that's basketball or baseball or whatever it may be. But yeah, I've dealt with that for a long time. It's just because football is not your favorite, it's going to make you better at whatever it is that you enjoy. It's just that simple. And it's not really arguable at this point. There's so many professional athletes that say it. So I don't even think people can say that that's not true at this point.
Harry, getting back to the culture out there, I told you about the administration getting on board. One of the coolest things Zane did is he convinced them that they needed to get a couple of weightlifting classes. So it's been going on, for 2 years now?
Yeah, I think this is year 3.
So they have 2 weightlifting classes, and obviously our kids have gotten bigger, faster, stronger. And I don't care what sport you play, football. If you're bigger, faster, stronger, quicker, you're going to be better at your craft, whatever it is. And the culture, the kids expect to win. Zane kind of left me hanging after the Logos game. Logos was really good. They snapped our 31-game win streak, and the guy from the Liston Tribune couldn't get to Zane fast enough. I went in the locker room, and oh my gosh, it was like somebody had died. It's like we were at a funeral, and I kind of sat there for a second, and all of a sudden I started talking and telling them, hey, get your heads up, look at me. They were all looking down. And a couple of them didn't. I said, no, look at me. And finally I all looked up and I said, hey, nobody died. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. I'm pissed. We lost. You're pissed. But you know what? This is going to be good for us. I said, the top 6 teams in our division all have a loss. Nobody's going to win the state title without a loss.
Yeah.
We have a chance to accomplish what we set out to accomplish. Funny thing is, he came in 8 minutes later and basically told him the same thing. And all of a sudden, no one really smiled or laughed, but you could see they felt a little bit better about it. It was good that we got punched in the mouth. So, yeah, good stuff.
Well, I think going back to that is it probably made it a little bit easier at some point. I mean, once streaks like that are over, it's like, okay, we don't got to talk about it anymore. Let's just go play football, see what happens. Kenny, I do want to kind of get you involved a little bit. Can you tell me, how has your, unbelievably good playing career, how has that translated to you, kind of helping Zane out in your coaching ability? What has helped? What's been hard about it is, sometimes there's really good players that aren't very good coaches, but how does that help for you?
I think early on, maybe the kids just thought I was an old gray-haired man. They didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But I think a few of them have gotten on the internet and Wikipedia and whatever, and, oh, God, he played. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. So I guess one of the highest compliments I got this year from a kid was on senior night. The kids all talked and thanked their coaches and their parents and their grandparents. Wyatt Cook, who was an all-state lineman for us, should have been both ways, but I think he was just one way. He was the last kid. He was both ways. Yeah. He was the last kid to talk. And the highest compliment I got paid all year was, he said that Hobart Sr. is the unfiltered version of Zane. So, Zane and I kind of laughed, good cop, bad cop. Yeah. So, I think they finally realized, okay, he's been around the game a little bit. And the game's changed a little bit, but not that much. It's still blocking and tackling and X's and O's. And, we do stuff a little different. Zane does. I shouldn't say we. It's his baby. We don't run a lot of typical 8-man football plays. We spread the field, and I try to put athletes in space, something that I learned from Dennis Erickson back in the 80s. And, it's just, it's a different brand of 8-man football. And
he's just mad because he never got to take a snap in shotgun.
Honestly, seriously, 4 years of college and high school, 4 years of high school and almost 7 years of professional football, never took one snap and shotgun.
That's incredible. Because there's people that are the other way around that have never taken a snap under center.
Well, we didn't take a snap under center this year at Kendrick either, but we're going to have to work on that because
it was actually the first year that we did not go under center. And a lot of that was a young sophomore quarterback that he had never done it. And we had always had at least a set or two where we were more traditional, and we kind of went away with it and added some more gun stuff and just went all gun. And the first time we went to go take a knee, I was like, wait a second, we usually do this under center. I think it was the first game of the year. And I was like, we didn't practice this. How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah. It's crazy how small stuff like that kind of gets pushed to the side a little bit. We had a similar problem at Asota. Our quarterback's really athletic and runs around a lot. So we have some, our passing game is not quite as traditional as some might think, but we had the same problem. I mean, we're in victory formation. We have no idea. Are we supposed to go under center? Are we supposed to stay back?
Yeah, another pen.
Yeah. All right. Well, real quick, I know we all understand the challenges of small school sports. You know, all three of us are pretty heavily involved in that. But what do you like about it? What's the most fun about coaching and playing at a small school?
I think for me, and especially at Kendrick, and tying this into Kendrick again, is it gives me the Friday Night Lights vibe. I mean, shut down the town. There's a home football game this Friday. Everybody's gone.
Right.
I mean, our attendance we get at our games in the White Pine League is pretty awesome. You know, everybody downtown, as you roll through town at 4:00 and get ready to go to the locker room, everybody's eating and going to having a bite to eat and a drink. And, you know, they know at 7:00, you know, 6:30, it's time to wrap things up and we're going to that football game. So the community and the parents out there, it's an awesome atmosphere on Fridays.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, I had probably a handful of people told me they went to our Logos Kendrick game at the old Bengal Field down here. I had a couple of people tell me, "Oh my God, that was the funnest high school football game I've ever seen." But I think Zane's right. It's just you know, you live in a bigger town, Moscow, Pullman, Lewiston, Clarkston, wherever. You might you know your players, you might know their parents, but for small schools, it's just you get to know grandma and grandpa. It's like one big family.
Yeah.
You know, you're not the Lewiston football team. You know, you're the Lewiston family. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Well, man, there's not much more I can say about small school sports, other than the fact that I absolutely love it. I've been, you know, I played at Clarkston a little bit, then played at Asotin as well, and it's just the vibe is totally different. I mean, our small little field here at Asotin is, I mean, people are standing all around the end zones, and it's different, and it's not like, it's not a traditional maybe, hey, we're gonna go down there just to watch, you know, my son. We're going to go down there and watch my best friend, you know, my son's best friends play. You know, it's not like we have so many people that come and watch our games that have no business being there. Like they don't have a kid there. They don't have a grandkid there. They're bored, and Freeman's coming and they're the number one team in the state. We're going to go watch and see what happens. And so that doesn't happen all the time at bigger schools. I mean, I think, you know, you're going to have more people probably just because of, you know, you have bigger student population and all that kind of stuff. So naturally you might have more people, but the people that are there at our games are invested, like extremely invested.
Exactly.
So I think that's a big difference. And then, you know, speaking in other sports, in baseball, you know, baseball doesn't travel well in general. You know, people don't go and watch a lot of small school baseball events, but Asotin parents have, and will continue, I assume. And we go to Northwest Christian or Colfax, and there's just as many Asotin kids and families as there is anywhere else. And I think that's just because we have been pretty good for quite a while. And I think once you win at a small school, the whole community buys in pretty fast.
Exactly.
So I think all of those, and then just plus, man, it's so much fun coaching a kid and then coaching their brother and then coaching their brother. And then, I mean, you know, their family for 10, 12 years, you know, it's stuff like that's awesome. And I don't think
you just said the magic word, family. You know, you become a big family.
Yeah. I mean, like 12 years at Kendrick, I've had a Hewitt for 12 years.
Yeah, right.
No, the next year will be the first year I have not had a kid with the last name Hewitt on the football team. So I know, like, just like you said.
Yeah, that just can't be touched. And you know, it's so cool nowadays too. You got our local community does so good. You know, you got people coming and listen to it on the radio because we got radio guys there now. And then, you know, NFHS has made it cool where people can watch without still stay invested if they can't come. I think all of that stuff's been really cool. But yeah, like I could talk forever about small school sports. I love it.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a little fun here. I'm going to ask you guys some questions, just answer them as fast as possible. Okay, try not to think about too much. The first one is pregame hype song. Could be any sport you played. What's your favorite one?
Oh, I'm going old school. Thunderstruck.
Oh, that was mine. Okay, AC/DC Back in Black. Yeah.
All right. Best football movie of all time.
Friday Night Lights.
what's the Burt Reynolds prison movie?
The Longest Yard?
The longest
The
yard.
Longest Yard.
All right. Favorite football player ever? I was a Mike Vick fan growing up as a kid. I thought that guy was electrifying. He was awesome.
Joe Montana.
Favorite college team?
Go Vandals. Go Vandals. But if it's on the Vandals, I was always a fan of Clemson, Dabo Sweeney.
Mine has to be Idaho. I didn't go to an Idaho game till I was a junior in high school. I was stuck in Camion and couldn't get out of town.
All right, pro sports or college sports?
Absolutely college sports. Hands down.
You know, I'm college sports on that one, but with this NIL and the transfer portal and stuff, I'm about ready to just go to high school sports. Just fed up with some of this stuff.
I kind of agree with you there, honestly. All right. Perfect segue here. Should college athletes be paid?
Yeah, I'm going to go with yes, but we've got to develop some rules. There's got to be a little more structure than the free-for-all it is now, I believe. But yes, I do believe they should be paid, but we've got to get a little more structure in there.
Absolutely. Exactly. They should get paid, but yeah, there's got to be some boundaries and some rules and guidelines.
All right, we're in rural Idaho here. So hunting or fishing?
Both equal.
Hunting probably for me.
Who is the best high school football player you have ever seen?
What do you got?
There was a guy named Doug Riesenberg from Moscow High School that played at the University of California, and then he played for the New York Giants, played in the NFL for quite a while. He was a pretty special guy, both sides of the ball.
Yeah, mine was, I never got to watch this kid play football, but Leighton Vander Esch. I watched a lot of film of him play in small 8-man, and we were in his division. But when I saw him play in the high school all-state basketball game at Clarkston's gym right there, that was one of the best high school athletes I'd ever seen.
And so I'll put you guys on the spot here a little bit, but who is the best high school athlete to come out of the Lewis-Clark Valley?
Yeah, this is a tough one. You thought about this question a little bit. It's tough because there's multiple sports. So if you want to stay football oriented and baseball and basketball, but just kind of staying a little bit football oriented. I mean, Jake Scott, a guy out of Lewiston that played many years in the NFL, won 2 Super Bowl rings. He was pretty special. You know, Jesse Davis came to mind from Minnesota, a guy that you were watching on TV not very many years ago.
Jamie Ferris played in Montana, played for a while in the NFL with the Falcons. So there's been a lot of good athletes come through here.
Yeah, I always love having that conversation. It can go so many different ways. I think there's a couple female athletes that people don't talk enough about too. Clarkson's had a handful of female basketball players that have been electric. So
Jamie Weisner.
I think Jamie Weisner might have been, if I was asked that question, what I would have said. You know, won a state title in basketball I think that she was the tallest girl as well and still won a state title. And then I think she won 6 or 8 track titles. I mean, she was very, very good. Became an Olympian.
Yeah. For me, I would have to say, we used to go play pickup basketball at Memorial Gym all the time at the University of Idaho. And there was a girl from Moscow High School named Andrea Lloyd who played at Texas. And lo and behold, the first time she ever came to the gym, and then she said, "Wayne is staying," and we won. We stayed in. She comes in fresh. I had just played for about 45 minutes straight. I was kind of tired. Well, I got to guard her. Oh, my God. She came down and pulled up in my face about 3 times and busted threes on me. Holy cow. Yeah, that girl was legit.
Yeah, the Valley has, and probably even adding Moscow and Pullman in there would probably make that conversation even harder. But people don't quite understand that Northwest sports has been pretty good. All right, guys, we're about out of time. But
Zane Dickert said he can't recruit. He couldn't recruit the Northwest. What's wrong with him? There's a lot of talent in the Northwest.
Yeah, no.
You just got to go find it.
Him and X should have a conversation because he did it all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, last time I looked, Montana State's 14-0 or 15-0, and they're playing for the Natty, and they got 45 guys or 47 guys from their own home state on their roster.
Yeah.
So don't tell me there's not guys around the Northwest. You just got to get out and uncover the right rocks and find them.
Well, I'm sure Wake Forest is going to be easier to recruit to. What a
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous. And it's in a worse conference, but whatever.
We won't go there.
Yeah. All right. So, what's the biggest lesson coaching has taught both of you?
For me, I would say that thinking about the lessons throughout the years, I just think that coaching is a relationship business. It's not about the particular sport you're coaching. You know, you're there for those kids, and some of the relationships I've built with some of the young men I've coached in football has continued after they graduated, and it's been fun to see them grow up. And still talk to a lot of guys that I've coached, even in season. You know, guys that are mid-junior. You know, you're there to be more than just a coach for that 2 to 2.5 hours of practice or on Friday nights. We use the word family all the time, but we truly mean it. You know, situations arise. I just want kids to feel comfortable to come to me with anything they need.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, if I was from the outside looking in, but the last couple of years hanging around, helping Zane coach, just watching young boys become young men, the whole process of not even necessarily as football players, just as people, as human beings. That's pretty special.
Yeah, great. I mean, great words, guys. And I really appreciate you kind of letting us get into the world of Kendrick football a little bit, and also just your backgrounds in sports. And I think we all can agree that without sports, life would be worse. I mean, just simply. But I truly appreciate you guys coming on and joining and having a little conversation with me. Again, Zane, congratulations on another state title. I think that needs to be celebrated, and if you're not celebrating it, do it. And congratulations to all your players and the community at Kendrick. It's so cool, and I have had a lot of pleasure following you guys. I just want to end with, once again, good luck to the off season. Keep everybody healthy and enjoy your guys as athletes and other sports. To everybody listening and all the fans that joined us today, thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is just the beginning of Beyond the Scoreboard for us. And guys, thanks a lot.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for having us on, Perry.
Thanks, Perry. Appreciate it.
That's a wrap for this episode of Beyond the Scoreboard. A big thank you to our guests today for sharing their insights, stories, and wisdom from the world of coaching. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us reach more listeners like you who are passionate about the game and the people who make it happen. Follow us on all the socials for updates and behind-the-scenes content. And as always, join us next time as we continue to go beyond the stats, beyond the sidelines, beyond the scoreboard.